Get ready, Padres fans. It's time for the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Tatis at third, 2 outs. Fernando takes off. He's going to steal home without a play.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, and our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today the Padres take on the Tampa Bay Rays in the second game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Rays, right-hander Shane Baz, and for the Padres, right-hander Randy Vasquez. Hi again everyone, Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up in St. Petersburg, Florida at 1:10 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also hear from Padres reliever Tanner Scott. Our keys to the game, full look at this starting pitching matchup, and in just a little bit, we're joined by Bob Scanlan. Let's set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside. Padres entered today 77-60 on the season. They entered today tied with the Arizona Diamondbacks for the National League's top wild card spot. Padres also 5 games behind the LA Dodgers for first place in the National League West. Padres are 8-7 in their last 15 games. They are 27-11 since the All-Star break. Meanwhile, the Rays come in 66-68. Rays not playing very well right now. They've lost 6 of their last 8 games. They enter today 7 games back of the final American League wildcard spot, so it's not looking great for the Rays when it comes to the postseason picture. Let's recap yesterday's series opener against Tampa Bay.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
The Padres offense was rolling early on. Manny Machado put the Padres ahead in the first.
As he delivers, Manny muscles it into right field and a base hit. Profar will walk home from third. Cronenworth races over there. RBI single Manny Machado, and a 1-0 Padre lead in the first.
Xander Bogaerts hit a sac fly to make it 2-0. Jackson Merrill was next.
Really bang bang. First pitch swinging, Merrill line drive. Base hit into center field. Machado rounding third. He's going to score. It's a 3-run first here in St. Pete.
Padres got back to work in the second. There were 2 on for Jake Cronenworth.
For Jake Cronenworth. Hits this one hard through the right side and a base hit. Campusano rounding third. Low comes up. Throw will be cut behind the mound. RBI single Jake Cronenworth. And the Padres got a 4-0 lead here in the second inning.
Then it was time for some more Manny.
0-1. Machado sends it in the air to deep right center field. DeLuca back at the wall. He leaps. It's going to go. Oppo Taco for Manny Machado. A 3-run shot here in the second inning. And the Padres have kicked the extra point. It's 7-0.
So the Padres were up big, but the Rays would make it 7-4. The two teams combining for 11 runs on 11 hits combined in the first 2 innings. Padres got a run in the third to make it 8-4. David Peralta had a big swing in the fourth.
So runner on third, 2 outs, 3-2. Peralta hits it in the air, deep to right field. This one way back, gonna go. 2-run homer, David Peralta. And the Padres have scored in each of the first 4 innings here tonight. It is now 10-4.
Martin Perez got through 5 innings and allowed 4 runs. Padres led 10-5 going to the 9th inning. Xander Bogaerts hit a solo home run to make it 11-5. Donovan Solano put the cap on a big offensive day.
1-2. Pitch on the way. Solano, hard hit liner up the middle into center to base hit. Johnson has scored. Campusano's on his way. A 2-run single for Donovan Solano and a 13-5 Padre lead in the 9th.
Padres went on to win it by that final score of 13-5, taking the series opener against the Tampa Bay Rays. As we get ready for Game 2 of this 3-game set coming up at 1:10, let's go to the Trop.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Bob Scanlan in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
We go to Bob Scanlan joining us on the call today alongside Tony Gwynn Jr. Scan, hope you're enjoying your time in Florida so far. Let's start with the pitching matchup in this game. Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres had a pretty good start against the Cardinals his last time out. 6 innings, 2 runs given up. And Scan, it's interesting. If you zoom out a little bit, Vasquez really had just one pretty bad start. That was the one in Baltimore where he gave up 6 runs in 2 innings, but he's got a 3.40 ERA in his last 9 starts. Scan, he's really had the ability to put together some good outings and at the very least keep the Padres in a lot of games.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, Sam, in terms of some games have gotten out of control. There have been a couple that have really raised his earned run average and his batting average against and all the internal numbers that you look at. But for the most part, he's done a really nice job. 14 of 18 outings, he's given up 3 earned runs or less. So he's kept the Padres in ball games. I think that's exactly what you want out of a guy that's, been a fill-in starter at times in the back end of your starting rotation. And the key thing is he's not killed the bullpen. So great combination, right? Out of a guy that you can call up from AAA when you need him. He's going to give you at least 5 or 6 innings most of the time. He's going to keep you in the ball game. I think he's done a really nice job. And it's interesting. He went down to AAA briefly to work on some things, and we'll talk about that in the broadcast a little bit more. But when you're doing the up and down thing, it can be a little bit disconcerting and you can get a little bit out of your rhythm, but it didn't faze him at all. On a hot night in St. Louis, got called up, did a real nice job, and hopefully we see it again here today.
It was a hot night in St. Louis. Good thing the air conditioning is on inside the Trop today. Let's talk about the starting pitcher for the Rays. That's right-hander Shane Baz, 12th overall pick in 2017 by Tampa Bay. He's had an interesting career scan because he debuted in 2021. He underwent Tommy John surgery. Today is actually only his 18th major league start in his career. Has a world of talent, had a really good outing against the A's his last time out. What can you tell us about Shane Baz and kind of the scouting report on him today?
Well, you broke down his history pretty well in terms of a guy that was a top prospect, right? He was a prodigy coming out of high school, picked by Pittsburgh, and eventually gets traded over to Tampa Bay, and they had high hopes for him, but then, as you mentioned, he had the Tommy John surgery. He actually had surgery before that as well, so the Tommy John was sort of looming on the horizon. They tried to hold it off as long as they could, but it just reached a point where, okay, we've got to get this done. And since he's come back, he's thrown the ball extremely well. Now, he's still got an explosive fastball, 96 miles an hour, slider, curveball to go with it. Some reports are that the curveball has gotten better since he came back. So we'll talk about that a little bit more and break it down, in the broadcast with Tony in terms of what this young man features and really the effectiveness of his fastball. But he seems to have come back from the TJ, I guess is the point, Sam. And this is a guy that they have high hopes for. They need help in their rotation. They've had a lot of injuries, carrying over from last year. They had several Tommy John surgeries, but the Rays are starting to get some of those young guys back, and he's going to be an important part of their future. And that's what the Rays are looking for at this point. Who can help them moving forward? And the Rays have a reputation for going after guys that are going to be impact-type guys. That's the reason that they traded for him in the first place, and now they got him back on the mound. So I'm really anxious to see what this kid has, because when he's healthy, and he is healthy, he seems to be back, he can be explosive. So I'm really curious to see the fastball especially today.
Yeah, certainly very talented, and thank you for pointing that out. He was actually drafted by the Pirates. He was actually part of the Chris Archer trade. When Archer went from Tampa Bay to Pittsburgh, he was one of the players that went back to Tampa Bay, and still just 25 years old. Scan, before I let you go, let's talk about David Peralta. 2-run home run yesterday. We've been around him quite a bit now the last few months. A true professional. I think he's had a really nice impact on this team on the field in the clubhouse. We'll hear Mike Shildt talk about it a little bit later. Your thoughts on what David Peralta has provided in what has become a very important spot with Fernando Tatis Jr. out?
He's one of those guys that I always respected from the other side of the field, knowing his background and his history and what he went through to get to the big leagues, and always respected the way he played the game. So when he joined the Padres team, I was like, okay, well, this is awesome. Great to have this guy here, but now let's see what he's really all about, and if there's something left in the tank at this point in his career, and he's proven both, hasn't he? I mean, he definitely has something left in the tank. He's been getting the job done on the field, but I think even more impressive has been who he has been in the clubhouse. When he first came over, understood his role on this team. It wasn't like a veteran coming in and, hey, I'm going to take over and, I'm expected to play. No, it was like, look, this is a great clubhouse. I am a part of this team. What part do I play? Okay, at this point, I'm going to be coming off the bench. Kept himself ready, and when he finally got his opportunities, which really came in Texas, he made the most of it, and he's sort of grabbed hold of those opportunities and done a great job in the outfield. He's made some spectacular plays, but he's just been a very calming presence in the clubhouse, a veteran presence, and fits in perfectly with this "it's not about me, it's about us" environment. And he's really, I think, put an exclamation point on that. And you don't always know what you're going to get when you bring in a veteran guy, right? But he has been every ounce a perfect match for this clubhouse, for this team, for this team first instead of me concept, on top of which he's put together some pro at-bats. So another great pickup by A.J. Preller. When you talk about putting a roster together, you look at the pieces that have been added, the Luis Arraezas and the Donovan Solanos and the David Peraltas. I think the Padres, A.J. and his staff, have done as good a job of doing that this year as they ever have.
I'm with you. It's been a full 26-man roster effort really all year. Been very nice to see. We'll see what David Peralta does here today back in right field and batting 7th for the Padres. Scan, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at 1 p.m. here in San Diego. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, that's Bob Scanlan joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. Again, we go out to Bob and Tony at the very, very top of the hour. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play, but we've got a lot to do on this Saturday as we get ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also hear from Tanner Scott, the new Padres reliever, a little bit later as well. Our keys to the game, a full breakdown of this starting pitching matchup between Shane Baz and Randy Vasquez. Much, much more to come on what is, by the way, a gorgeous Saturday here in America's finest city. Tomorrow's September. Hard to believe. We've got the college football on the TVs here in the studio. It's that time of year already, but you know what it means? It's pennant race time. Padres right in the thick of things, certainly. We come back with more pregame coverage after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Your water perfected. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for today's game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Tampa Bay Rays. Final game in the month of August, and we are on to September beginning tomorrow. Padres certainly in a very good position as far as the postseason picture. They enter today tied for the top wild card spot in the National League with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up later. But one of the beauties of the next 3 days for the Padres, it was the same thing last night. Padres take care of business. They win their games, 2 more against the Rays, 1 against the Tigers on Monday. Remember, the D-backs and the Dodgers play one another today, tomorrow, and Monday as well. So the Padres are guaranteed, as long as they win, to pick up ground on somebody each and every day. Yesterday it was the Diamondbacks with the Dodgers winning in Arizona. Let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt before today's game.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
We'll get into some of the numbers for David Peralta, and we mentioned Peralta with Bob Scanlan in our last segment. Great breakdown there from Scan on Peralta on what he's brought to this team on the field and in the clubhouse. And some of the numbers for Peralta, I'm going to read them to you in a few minutes. You might say, wow, they're really, really good. It's been very, very impressive. Here was Mike Shildt. He begins by talking about the impact that David Peralta has had on this team. Also, some updates here on Yu Darvish, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Ha-Seong Kim. First, Mike Shildt on David Peralta.
Contributions are high with both the clubhouse and the field. You know, the field is, on display every day. He's done a great job. Big 2-run homer yesterday to create some space. He's taking great at-bats, used the whole field, drove the ball down the line the other, last night as well. Just takes a really quality professional at-bats. Has had some big moments for us, big hits for us. Played really well defensively. He gives us everything he's got. He's a veteran outfielder, knows the league, and is efficient with his routes. Does all the little things well in the field, runs the bases hard. So that part's all, helping us win games for sure. But his clubhouse presence is from day one has been exemplary. And, I've known the character of David for years, but didn't know his ability to really unite group, and bring the energy that he brings. Everything is very positive, super high energy, very thoughtful, conscientious. Really is always looking to do something for people and not getting anything from people. It's a great trait that he has, and he's got the experience and credibility to back it up. And I just can't say enough positive things about David on and off the field.
Darvish, how does he feel today after yesterday's work, and what's next for him?
I don't know how he feels. Haven't had a chance. Day game reports were very favorable. How he threw yesterday, 66 pitches. Everything was good, crisp, velocity good. Break, secondary was good. How he feels today, I couldn't tell you yet.
So timeline is something you can't comment on then, or
I cannot. Yeah, we have an idea, but we're still working through it.
How about Tatis?
Similar, a good day. Him and Kimmy both. I'll just talk about Toddy, but good day with Toddy, and he's having another day today where he's going to get some live at bat. So he's getting closer.
You said Kim in half a thought, so can you expound on his situation?
Similar deal. He took some live at bats. I don't think he hit a homer. So the swings aren't creating any issues for him, but it's just a matter of being able to get back where he can throw without any inhibitions.
So has he attempted that, like fielding and throwing across the diamond, or not?
He's working on playing catch and extending it with a little bit more intensity, but we're not asking him to field it and throw it across the diamond yet.
Is there comfortability that knowing that Fernando might be able to come back without a rehab?
Yeah, it's possible. It's on the table. We're still taking inventory, but he's making really good strides.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt before today's game. So you heard some thoughts there in the first part on David Peralta. Then the very, very good updates, I think, on Yu Darvish, Ha-Seong Kim, and Fernando Tatis Jr. And again, just to recap what Mike Shildt said there what the Padres reported last night. Yu Darvish, again, pitched in a controlled minor league game yesterday at the Padres complex in Peoria, Arizona. It was against Reds minor leaguers. He threw 4 innings, faced a total of 18 batters, threw 66 pitches. He reported feeling well after the outing. Padres still determining the next steps for Darvish, and we know Fernando Tatis Jr. continues to take at bats in Peoria. Ha-Sung Kim, you heard the update there, also in Peoria, doing throwing and taking swings. So all in all, very good updates, and we'll see what the next steps are for Yu Darvish, if he would go out on a minor league rehab assignment or not. We saw, Joe Musgrove did make a minor league rehab assignment before he came back. Doesn't necessarily mean much as far as the situation with Yu Darvish, but will be interesting to see with Darvish already at 66 pitches he threw yesterday in Peoria, if he does go out for a rehab assignment or not. I think there would be maybe, I would think, a scenario where Darvish could return to the rotation and, be in the 75 to 80 pitch range. So we'll see what the Padres do with Yu Darvish, but no doubt, all in all, very good update on Yu, who again threw 66 pitches in a 4-inning game in Peoria yesterday against Reds minor leaguers. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 1:10.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin with a look at the hot category. Luis Arraez, not in the lineup yesterday, but has swung the bat very well as of late. Arraez went 8 for 19 in the 4 games in St. Louis, hitting .337 in his last 20 games. He's gone 77 consecutive at-bats without a strikeout. Arraez back in the lineup today for the Padres, leading off and DHing. In the hot category as well, Manny Machado, 3 hits yesterday, including a home run and 4 RBIs. Manny is batting .382 in his last 8 games with 3 home runs and 3 doubles. If you go back to his last 30 games, Machado's batting .325 with 10 home runs and 30 RBIs. If you go back even farther to June 19th, how about this? Manny's .935 OPS since June 19th is the 3rd highest in the National League, behind only Shohei Ohtani and Francisco Lindor. That's a span of over 2 months now. Manny's played a lot better for the last month or two. Again, 3 hits yesterday, home run, 4 RBIs. Padres are 22-0 this season when Manny Machado has multiple RBIs in a game. Also in the hot category, David Peralta, 5 hits on this road trip, 2 of them for extra bases. He's batting .342 with 5 home runs and 15 RBIs in 26 games during the month of August. How about this? Peralta's .1010 OPS is 10th best in the major leagues this month among qualified hitters. So he's been really, really important to this offense. Had a home run yesterday. And again, that .1010 OPS this month in August, 10th best in the major leagues among qualified hitters. The not category, we take a look at Tyler Wade. 0 for his last 13. Wade not in the starting lineup today. Mason McCoy getting the start at shortstop, but we'll see if Wade comes off the bench. It's been a little bit quiet for him offensively as of late. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for the second game of this 3-game series. When we come back, we'll tell you about one Tampa Bay Ray who is out of the lineup today. Very important player for the Rays. We'll also have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, our keys to the game, and we'll also hear from Padres reliever Tanner Scott. Much more to do on our pregame coverage. First pitch coming up at 1:10 on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming up at 1:10 in St. Petersburg, Florida at the Trop. Padres taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for this one. A lot to do still. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard in a bit. We'll also have our keys to the game, a full breakdown of this starting pitching matchup today between Randy Vasquez and Shane Baz, and we'll also hear from Padres reliever Tanner Scott coming up a little bit later in this segment. We do have some news that just came in about 5 minutes ago about one Padre that is a scratch from the lineup today. Let's talk a little bit more about it with our injury report.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Let's begin actually with the Rays side of things. Yandy Diaz, you might remember, left yesterday's game with a left knee injury. Diaz not in the lineup for Tampa Bay today. As far as the news coming in on the Padres side of things, Kyle Higashioka was slated to catch and bat 8th today for the Padres. He has been scratched from today's lineup with flu-like symptoms. Luis Campusano will bat in his place, also batting 8th and playing catcher. The Padres also made a move today. This coming down again just a handful of minutes ago. They optioned right-hander Sean Reynolds back to AAA El Paso. Right-hander Alec Jacob is up from AAA El Paso. So again, some moves here as we get ready for first pitch. Kyle Higashioka scratched from today's lineup. Flu-like symptoms. Luis Campusano taking his place, batting 8th and doing the catching. And again, the Padres optioning right-hander Sean Reynolds back to AAA. Alec Jacob is up from AAA. And that is a look at our injury report along with the move today for the Padres. So let's talk a little bit more about that for a second. Hopefully Kyle feels better. Hopefully back in the lineup tomorrow. As far as the move, Reynolds down, Jacob up. Look, Sean Reynolds, he's been very, very good. He's got a sub-1 ERA in his first 11 appearances, or it might be 9 appearances, have to check, with the Padres. Bottom line, he's been very, very good with the Padres so far. Remember, the Padres are in a span right now of 18 games in 18 days, and what this is likely about, albeit Alec Jacob has also been very good when he's had opportunities in the major leagues, but in all likelihood, what it's about is the Padres need some fresh arms in that bullpen. 3 out of the last 4 games, it's not like the Padres starters have gone very deep. Michael King didn't get out of the 5th inning. Dylan Cease didn't get out of the 5th inning. Martin Perez went 5 innings yesterday. They need some fresh arms in that bullpen. So really no fault of Sean Reynolds. I think he's been very impressive so far. But again, Alec Jacob up, a fresh arm in that bullpen for here in this game and maybe the next couple of days as well. So some news there coming down with Higashioka late scratch and the move. Reynolds down to AAA and Alec Jacob is back up on the active roster for today's game. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at games going on right now. We only have one of them underway. Cardinals ahead of the Yankees 6-5 in New York in the 9th inning. Everything else coming up later on today. Cubs and the Nationals in D.C. at 1:05. Red Sox and the Tigers at 3:10 in Detroit. Pirates and the Guardians at 3:10 in Cleveland. A's and the Rangers in Arlington at 4:05. Royals and the Astros in Houston at 4:10, Mets and the White Sox at 4:10 in Chicago. Blue Jays and the Twins at 4:10 in Minnesota. Braves and the Phillies at 4:15 in Philadelphia. Brewers and the Reds in Cincinnati at 4:15. Orioles and the Rockies at 5:10 in Colorado. Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, that's the game you care about most right now, in Arizona at 5:10. Gavin Stone on the mound for L.A. Merrill Kelly on the mound for Arizona. Marlins and the Giants at 6:05 in San Francisco. Mariners and the Angels in Anaheim at 6:38. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Again, the game you care most about Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Again, Padres take care of business. They win their game today. They'd be guaranteed to pick up ground on somebody, either jump ahead of the Diamondbacks for the top wild card spot or pick up a game in the division standings on the Dodgers. Padres entered today 5 games out of first place in the National League West. Well, certainly Tanner Scott has been very, very solid for the Padres since being traded from the Miami Marlins as a 2.77 ERA in 14 games so far with the Padres. Scott faced one batter, got him out in yesterday's game. Scott joined the Gwynn and Chris program yesterday here on 97.3 The Fan, so I wanted to revisit some of the things that Tanner Scott had to say yesterday here on the station. Here was Tanner Scott on his transition to the Padres after the trade.
We got a great group of guys here, and I mean that was a big difference. I mean, we're winning games here, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And then my role, I really don't care. I just want the ball. I want to pitch whenever they need it. Whatever situation I can help with is what I'm going to go with.
And one thing we don't always talk about enough is just the life part of a trade. Switching cities, having to find a place for your family to live, the kids, all of that kind of normal day-to-day stuff for all of us. Here was Tanner Scott on adjusting to the life part of being traded.
Oh, my lovely wife handled everything. She's the best. Yeah, so right when we got traded, sure enough, she was talking to a realtor like maybe within 24 hours because we have a 11-month-old son. And she was like, hey, we need to find this. I've heard this. And I'm like, all right, whatever you think's right. And she found a house. And then actually when we flew to Miami, she moved into San Diego. So it was kind of funny. We just completely flipped. She left Miami and went to San Diego, and I went from San Diego back to Miami.
Tanner Scott was an all-star for the first time in 2024, went there with the Marlins, then later traded to the Padres. Here was Tanner Scott on his experience at the All-Star game his first time around.
I got to meet all the best players in the game, and I mean, just being in the same clubhouse, playing with the same group of guys that you kind of hate playing against because you don't want to like them, but then you get them in the same locker room and you're like, oh, they're actually a good person. It's kind of weird because right when you step in the lines, usually you're like, oh, I hate this guy. But the whole experience was just awesome.
And finally, here was Tanner Scott. Obviously, the Padres have a bullpen with a lot of talented arms right now. A bullpen, as I'll detail in a second, that has been very, very good as of late. Here was Scott on the Padres bullpen, the guys in that pen, and learning from one another.
Oh, I mean, it's been great. I mean, we got a great group of guys, and they accepted me and Brian when we got traded over, and Jason. And I mean, the bullpen's different. You're a small family inside of a big family, and I mean, you get to know the guys, and they're accepting. And then after 24 hours of them being like, "Oh, who is this guy?" you actually get to know the person and get to talk to them throughout the day. Like, I talk to everyone down there and get to know them, and then just bounce off like, "Oh, how do you do this? What do you do this?" And yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, great group of guys down there.
So that was Tanner Scott on 97.3 The Fan yesterday on our afternoon show, Gwynn and Chris. If you want to hear that full interview, you can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. Also available on 97.3thefansd.com. First pitch coming up at 1:10 in St. Petersburg, Florida at the Trop Game 2 of this 3-game series. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
We take a look at our keys to today's game. You're not going to believe this, but I just closed out my my file here. Hold on a second. Oh, no. This has never happened before. Okay, I got to open up my document here, scroll down to keys to the game. This is not my finest moment. Okay, here we go. Sorry, everybody. Key number 1, keep the offense cooking. See, I'm very well prepared every day, okay? I need my notes. Keep the offense cooking is key number one. Padres scored 13 runs last night. On the whole, they're averaging 5.6 runs per game since July 20th. They scored 10 runs in the first 4 innings of last night's game. Took an early lead, really never looked back. The Padres only scored 4 runs combined in the final 2 games in St. Louis. Padres found one of those 4-run innings yesterday. It was the 45th time this season that they've scored 4 or more runs in an inning. That's the most in the major leagues and the second most of any team in Padres history. They're just 5 shy already of tying the team record set in 2001. So key number one, sort of generic, but just keep the offense cooking. Do what you did yesterday. Grab a lead. Keep it rolling. That's key number one. Key number two, more bullpen magic. The Padres bullpen was, again, really good last night. They allowed just 1 run in 4 innings of work combined. They also struck out 9 of the 18 batters they faced. Since July 31st, the Padres bullpen leads the major leagues in strikeout percentage, in fielding independent pitching, and WAR, according to Fangraphs. And you may not totally know what FIP, fielding independent pitching, means, is made up of, or even the WAR. But know this, these are metrics that measure a lot of important things, and the Padres, again, since July 31st, their bullpen has the highest numbers of any pen in baseball. And think about the new additions. Jason Adam has given up just 1 run in 13 innings so far with the Padres. Tanner Scott, for the most part, has been good. A 2.77 ERA in 14 games so far since the trade. Brian Hoeing, 2 earned runs given up in 16 innings so far with the Padres. Sean Reynolds, who we just told you, has been optioned back to AAA. He's allowed just 1 run. He struck out 21 batters in 11 innings. The point is, Padres bullpen has been good. Really has been. In the last month, got to keep it rolling. That's key number 2. Let's get a little bit more in depth with key number 3. Hit the Shane Baz fastball. Baz has really struggled with his fastball this season. Opponents are hitting .325 against it with a .481 slugging percentage, but opponents are hitting just .178 with a .256 slugging percentage against the rest of his pitch mix, the slider, curveball, and changeup. So, a key for the Padres today, hit the fastball. It's been very hittable from Baz this season. The rest of his arsenal, not so much. So maybe, not that I'm the hitting guru, today's approach, maybe try to lay off the off-speed stuff. Focus on trying to hit that fastball because, again, opponents hitting .325 against it with a .481 slugging percentage so far this season. That's a look at our keys to the game. When we come back, we'll tell you about one Padre that got things going yesterday, maybe, hopefully, a sign of things to come. And we also break down this pitching matchup between Shane Baz and Randy Vasquez. First pitch coming up at 1:10 against the Tampa Bay Rays. Our pregame coverage continues after this. Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres radio network. First pitch at 1:10 against the Tampa Bay Rays. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Little Spice Girls on a Saturday. Beautiful Saturday here in America's finest city. We'll break down our starting pitching matchup coming up in just a moment. First, let's tell you what to watch for in Game 2 of this 3-game set.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game. Can Jurickson Profar continue to get it going? Remember, he went 0 for 14 in the series in St. Louis, but yesterday he reached base 5 times in 6 plate appearances. He walked 4 times and had a single, scored 2 runs. Before yesterday's game, Profar had been hitting 185 with a .302 on-base percentage over a span of 22 games. We all know how great Profar has been this year. And by the way, even in that 22-game span, he had a couple of huge home runs to help the Padres win a couple of games. But do we see Jurickson start to get it going again? He's been quieter. Last 22 games, like I said, 185 batting average, .302 on-base percentage. Does yesterday, being on base 5 times in 6 plate appearances, sort of spark Jurickson again? What does he do here today? Do we see him have a nice game? That's what to watch for in today's game. Let's break down this starting pitching matchup between Randy Vasquez and Shane Baz.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview. Presented by Chimney Sweeps, Inc., San Diego's trusted chimney and fireplace service company for 40 years. Call Chimney Sweeps, Inc. at 1-800-CHIMNEY or book an inspection online at chimneysweepsinc.com.
The right-hander Vasquez, 25 years old, on the mound for the Padres today. 2024 in the major leagues, 4-6, a 4.52 ERA, 18 starts, 87 2/3 innings. He struck out 55 and walked 24. Last start against the Cardinals, he went 6 innings, 2 runs given up. If you go back to late June, Vasquez really had just one pretty bad start. Allowed 6 runs in 2 innings against the Orioles back on July 28th. If you zoom out a little bit, Vasquez has a 3.40 ERA in his last 9 starts with the Padres. Vasquez has the second lowest strikeout percentage in the majors this year among pitchers with at least 80 innings of work. It's 14.5%. So Vasquez, as we know, does allow contact. He's had trouble against lefties. They're batting .378 against him with a .985 OPS. This will be his first career outing against the Rays. On the mound for the Rays, right-hander Shane Baz, 25 years old, 12th overall pick in the 2017 draft by the Pirates, then traded to Tampa Bay a handful of years ago. In 2024, he's made 8 starts, a 3.48 ERA, 44 innings, 36 strikeouts, and 17 walks. Last start against the A's, his best of the year, 7 2/3 scoreless innings, gave up just 3 hits. It was also the longest outing of his career. Baz had Tommy John surgery in September of 2022. He missed all of 2023. The Rays brought him along slowly this season. He also had an oblique injury earlier in the year. He made his season debut in early July. Even though Baz debuted in 2021, this will be just his 18th major league start. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup today. Shane Baz on the mound for the Rays, facing the Padres for the very first time, and Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres, facing the Rays for the very first time. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres radio network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. It's game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Rays. Padres winning yesterday 13-5, 13 runs on 13 hits. Padres entered today 77-60. We'll see if their offense can keep it rolling here today against Tampa Bay. When we come back, Bob Scanlan, Tony Gwynn Jr. standing by, ready to go. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game show. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres radio network. Enjoy the game, everybody.